Welcome to the next in the Gaming Classics series presented by Gamers R Us. This is Alex, and this week we're talking about the classic Serious Sam. Now, if you don't know what Serious Sam is by now, with all its various iterations, HD remakes, and such, Serious Sam was a shooter made in the early 2000s, about 2001, by CroTeam, a Croatian development group. And its main attribute, the thing that drew people to it, was just how good it looked and just how many enemies you could render on the screen at the same time, and just how crazy and frenetic the action could get. At a time when shooters were starting to evolve into a more narrative kind of video game platform, this game went back to the basics, kind of the Doom era, run and gun, constant action, blowing everything apart, barely surviving type of FPS. And you can see from games from Painkiller onward to these days, Bulletstorm as well, they all kind of took their cues from Serious Sam. Serious Sam almost reinvigorated the classic shooter. As you can imagine, this game did very well critically, as well as selling quite well. And it really put CroTeam on the map. Here was a small team out of pretty much nowhere, a team of maybe originally 3 or 4 guys who worked on this game. And look at, they created one of the best, most awesome fast-paced shooters I've ever played and that's ever been created. What's more is that they actually really utilize large open environments, which made the action even crazier. You could have not just these huge, giant open environments with tons of enemies, but you could actually kind of maneuver in a lot of different ways, which offered a lot of benefits, but also a lot of strategic challenges when you're trying to deal with a multitude of enemies being used against you, and certain enemies used in combination, like you can see with this charging bull here and the skeleton horses. It really was a technical marvel to be able to render all of these enemies, all these special effects. At the time, these graphics were pretty cutting edge, and all in these giant outdoor environments. As a technological marvel, it was almost second to none. It's right up there with Crytek and the Crysis engine. One of the attributes here that's very much of a throwback is the difficulty, which is, even on normal, quite high. There will be a lot of times you have to play certain areas 3, 4, 5 different times because you are just completely overloaded with enemies, and it's certainly at the beginning of the game when you're learning just how certain enemies attack and when to, for instance, with a double-barrel shotgun, shoot one of these skeleton horses in the face. Without a doubt, this is a game where you have to be constantly moving. Switching weapons, you have to really know what your 1 through 5 are. The boss battles are varied and a lot of fun. Very difficult as well, of course. You range from a traditional boss battle such as this to one, for instance, where you are attacked by a lot of attacking, jumping, leaping, poisonous frogs. And these bosses will take different kind of gimmicks and weapons to beat. For instance, machine gun and shotgun and the guy I just killed would have been pretty useless. However, against those frogs I described, machine gun is your best friend. Your rocket launcher, not so much. Serious Sam ages quite well, gameplay-wise and graphically, actually. This game was made in 2001, and it actually still looks quite reasonable. The textures are actually pretty sharp. The monsters are very well rendered, and if you get the HD mix of this, it'll look even better. But apart from the graphics, as I said, the gameplay is timeless. It basically goes back to those early days of Doom and how certain types of games just, no matter how many years removed you are from their release, that style of play can still translate very well into modern gaming. The only thing that really doesn't translate very well is probably the controls, although you can change them. For instance, to reload is left Alt. To unpause the game, you have to hit pause break. And R, I believe, is jump, as well as spacebar, so it's a little odd. Although when you right-click, you do use things, which was something that is now being widely used in games. But of course, other games like Deus Ex and No One Lives Forever use that same mechanic as well. Additionally, while the menu system is cool and the information they provide on all the enemies and areas is cool, it really doesn't seem to have much of a function since I just pretty much right-click past it and just get on the next level, like about 99% of the people who play this game. And it's not like there's a story here, which I'm missing. There really is no story. It's just an over-the-top, hey, I'm going all over Egypt, taking out the alien whores to save Earth. That's pretty much what it boils down to, which is fine. It's classic. It's kind of Doom classic, and that's really what they went for. When you have a 5-man team, you're not going to be writing a magnum opus here. The way CroTeam does make up for a lack of narrative, however, is through jokes. For instance, they have they have Indiana Jones jokes where he starts whistling the theme to Indiana Jones. Just all sorts of one-liners and things like that. It was very much an homage to Duke Nukem in that way. The humor mixes in well with the over-the-top nature of the game, which not just includes enemies and areas, but weapons as well. You have a lot of unique weapons, a lot of different cool things, and with a lot of different functions. I would say the only one I really never used very frequently was the grenade launcher. However, every other weapon was, I would alternate depending on the situation. So if you have a couple of dollar bills hanging around in your pocket, use them to pick this up. Serious Sam is an experience you'll never forget. It has a lot of unforgettable moments, and it's absolutely damn hilarious. Now I'm going to leave you with the Headless Screaming Bomberman.